And so that people arrange their lives according to themselves.
Right.
I would never have wanted to stay in Hull.
No. And you loved London. You soon
I was at home.
Immediately you felt at home.
Absolutely. I'd been there before, though, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But Holly, I mean, it wasn't, it was only about, what, 2 hour ride from, train, about 3 hours, I suppose. But we had been up one time. Mother never went because she didn't like the traffic and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But Nolly and I and Hodge went once when I was only about 17, 16. And then, of course, don't forget I was married when I went to London, too.
Right.
And that's another thing I didn't want to come back to. That's where I made up my mind. There was no way I was going back to.
To Bennett.
Yes, Lyndon Bennett.
Who was your, sort of like your high school sweetheart.
Yes, and of course Mother adored him, you see.
Right.
Couldn't do anything wrong with Lyndon. And he was a very nice man. I'm not saying he wasn't.
No.
He got married again, had 2 sons and a daughter.
Yeah.
And then his 2 sons had a sheep farm out in New Zealand, and that's where he went and died.
Yeah, in New Zealand. Oh.
In New Zealand, well, his 2 sons. First one son, I got this from Lolly, of course. I didn't keep it.
No.
But I got it because she kept in touch with the daughters. They were friends.
Right.
Lyndon's daughter. And she said she was very nice. She was married, had a child. And Lolly and she were not really close friends because their age was different. But she knew her and kept in touch with her. And he had, one of his sons, the older of the 2, had gone out to New Zealand and worked on the sheep farm and then got his own. And he wanted his brother to join him because he needed a partnership. So the youngest son went out too. Then they were out and did very well apparently. I don't know that it was anything spectacular, but they did very well. And then Lyndon went out when his wife died. After, a little while after, and then he died out. But he always kept in touch with my mother when she was alive. But he was in England then and he went for her funeral.
So you were high school sweethearts, then you moved to London to go on the stage, and then he came to London to marry you, didn't he? Or you were married in London?
No, that's what I was 2 months over being 18, because I had to be 18 to get married.
Oh, was that? Oh, yes. So then you got married before you came to London?
Yes, because he didn't want me to go, you see. He thought he was going to lose me and everything, and I thought it was very romantic to have a wedding ring around my neck. Nobody knew.
Oh, it wasn't on your finger, it was around your neck?
Yes, because I went up there, nobody knew that I got married. We got secretly married.
Oh.
And Albert and Madge Bourne, who had also gone to grammar school, well, Dudley went to Harvard College after grammar school, and so he met Albert, who was the adopted son of a man who had, like Sainsbury's, do you ever remember Sainsbury's in England? You wouldn't. But it's like a big deli.
Oh.
So cheeses from all over the world and all kinds of things. And then a part of it was a butcher shop. So he adopted Albert because he had no children of his own. And when he died, he left him a chain of these shops. You see?
Who was Albert?
He was a friend of Lyndon's.
Oh,
They'd gone
see.
through grammar school together and then to Harvard College together, and then they got married. He got married and had a child called Nita. So everybody, we thought this was very romantic, you know. I mean, he got married when he was about 21. 22 did Albert. And Madge, but they were together all their lives. Lolly still sees her.
Oh.
At least did until, I think she's probably gone now because Lolly's gone, but Madge Bourne, yes. And they had a nice house. Well, it was left quite well off. I mean, his adopted father had left him all this string of businesses, which he'd been working up. He'd brought him out to work in, and so on. He knew, managed them all. I think they had about shop in Bridlington, one in Bridlington, and one in Scarborough, and 3 in Hull, and you know.
Yeah.
And so they had a big house, and a big car, and a little baby girl, and everything. Oh, wonderful. So
you and Lyndon used to spend time with them.
They were our very best friends, you see. So we all plotted this, and they stood up for us, you see.
Secretly, outside of Hull?
Secretly got married in a little chapel. I can't remember what I wore.
In a little town?
No, a little chapel off one of the roads.
In Hull?
Yes. Can't remember where it was. I can't remember the day. I just know it was in May sometime. And the only reason I remember that is because it was on the divorce paper.
And it must have been 1928 or something like that.
I was 18, yes, 28.
You just turned 18 in March.
Then that's when I went off. It's most extraordinary because Lyndon, I get mixed up. Lyndon was in tweed plus 40. He got a golf tournament the afternoon after we were married. He go on playing golf tournaments. He was a great golfer. he had tweed plus 4s on.
At the wedding. And you didn't have a wedding dress.
I think I had a little velvet suit, which I already had.
And then you immediately went off to London right away.
Oh, about a couple of weeks afterwards, yes. Because it was well known, I was arranged I was going.
Yeah.
This is why we did it. Because he was terrified that
you wouldn't come back.
I was going to come back again, which I did.
But
I didn't stay. Poor old thing, it was a shame. But it wasn't really fair, but he wasn't really. He was only 22. He was 22. But then he went for his father.
And actually, it never came to much at all. It was only a few months.
I mean, it was consummated. Yes, we were married. I remember some other friends of ours, not the Bonds. They had a place they had a cottage too, right out in Scarborough. But that was a long way. But in Withensea, which was only half an hour's ride away on the coast, some other friends of ours, and I've forgotten who it was now. It'll come back to me. But not that, but close friends. That we would go occasionally and spend a weekend with them. It was their parents' cottage, and they had it from time to time. So we go down there. So they lent it to us for a week. So we went there to have sort of
honeymoon.
But of course, everybody thought we were just staying with these friends.
Right.
Before I went away.
Right.
And then off I went. He saw me off. Yes. So you see. And then what happened is that when I decided that I went off and got a job. I was going out on tour, and I told him that, as far as I was concerned, it was all over, and I was very sorry, and I wouldn't be very good about it. But then, of course, he came from London and started to arrest me. I mean, he was really a nuisance. And then he confronted Dudley, you see, who had seen me home, and had left me to go in when I was living in Nottingham Place, and it was in a theatrical place, for prose, right off Marylebone Road. And I'd met Dudley, and we were going out, and we were getting very, very serious about the whole thing, and I told him I was married. But of course Dudley came up, Lyndon came up and watched it, and came up and said, I hope you know, and how do you know that's my wife? And I'd already gone in.
Oh, yes.
So Dudley said, yes, I know she's married, but I didn't know it was you. And so then, he said, well, we'll see what, he said something, I don't want you to have to see her again or something. He said, well, we'll see what Billy has to say about that. So he rang the bell, and I came down, and
there they were, both of them, nightmare.
Oh, no, that's right. And so then Dudley Lyndon went off on his way, and Dudley went over to think it over, and then it was when he said, well, I don't want to lose you either, so I'm quite willing for the divorce. That's how it was.
Lyndon said that?
No, Dudley.
Oh.
I was divorcing Lyndon.
Yeah, but Lyndon said, I don't want to lose you either.
Dudley said, when Lyndon said she is my wife and she should come back, I wanted to come back and live with me, and I said, I don't want to go back. You see, I'm not going back to Lyndon, so you might as well get that straight right now, you see. And then I said to Dudley, and you think it over, because, I mean, we hadn't done because we were a year together, before I got my divorce with Dudley.
Oh, yes.
You see. And so we had a year together, and I said, think about it. Think about it. Don't rush into anything, And he said, I do. So then he said, right. And he went off. Lyndon went wherever he wanted to go, I don't know. And I was quite worried about it, and I thought, oh, well, that's the end of that, I suppose. And Dudley came back, and he said, no, I don't want to lose you, so let's get a divorce, and that was it. So, I mean, these are all intimate things that are really mine.
Yeah.
Don't always tell people about all these little things that have happened.
No,
I don't think it's necessary.
No,
so I don't want to be spreading out all over the family that, Granny did this, and Granny did that, and then he said this. No way. I led a very sober, very nice, happy life. It just turned out that some of the decisions I made were not the right ones. So isn't that being honest about it?
Yeah.
It was much better to go back and pretend that all was well when it wasn't. Wouldn't have been fair to Dudley.
No, that's right.
To Lyndon, it wouldn't have been fair to my mother, who of course hardly, you know, she was very annoyed with me for a whole year or more.
Mm-hmm. For leaving Lyndon.
Oh, definitely, because of course he played all this nonsense about his life was over, and he was, you know, this, that, and the other, and she said I was very wicked, which was not true. Of course, not really. You know, but there you are. But most people, you know, I mean, I'm telling you all this, and some people will say, oh, well, what a nasty piece of work she was. But I'm not. I wasn't a nasty piece of work. But they do.